practice of Shaikha Al Mazrou is specifically known for the formal research which is behind it, and the formal precision in the solutions that she has elaborated over the years, while always concealing or hiding or even negating the dimension which is more autobiographic.
I was very specific when I titled the show. I was reiterating with the rearranging of a riddle that cannot be arranged. Starting with the titled show, Rearranging, it kind of suggests or gives hints to the viewer that it will remain a puzzle. And just like the entire show, you're trying to grasp information, but there's things that are concealed behind metaphors. Before the color blue became the main element within the body of work, the shade was seen in a dream. I had a conversation about this color, and I wanted to capture that color and turn it into something that is tangible. The entire show became almost an autobiography of a color. It was almost in search of that shade that is seen in a dream, and then it became the entire show. I felt this immediate connection when I saw the shades of blue. There was like an entire shelf of these samples and shades of blue specifically. And looking at their titles, I felt this immediate connection where I almost remember certain conversations I had. These titles written on these samples don't only suggest a shade of color, but also suggest an environment. And immediately, as soon as I started reading these titles, I can almost close my eyes and capture the entire environment. So that is where the idea was almost born, is how can I turn a shade of color into that environment, using market shelf labels into that kind of object. When you lay them on one shelf, you cannot not help but think about immediate composition to create that rhythm of what a poem would sound like. With the conversations I had with Cristiana, and Cristiana knowing me very well, I tend to exhaust the material. The heap, from a very small heap in my drawing, the heap started to grow. But we came to a conclusion that is not about creating an overwhelming expression with creating the work, but it's really about keeping and responding to the paradox itself. So the paradox tackles vagueness in language. So if there is a heap of sand and you take one grain at a time, when does the heap become non-heap? And the title kind of suggests that, so I'm close to the coast, but not too close. As I mentioned earlier, the titles were written down before making the works. And through picking up something that almost defined for all the things remain unsaid, one cannot think about something that is written or a textbook. I wanted to use a material that would contradict the title of it. So I had all these 200 almost papers empty. Each one of them is non-identical to the other. Each one of them has a physical character of its own. For me, the things that are said was in the process of making every single individual paper had so much to say. I have a body of work within the exhibition called We Met Halfway. They are two sculptural pieces, both very formal in their quality. They're in two series. One of the works starts with a circle and ends with a square. And as the title suggests, we met halfway. Where did that transition take place? If we were to slice the whole, where is the midpoint and where is the halfway? And the other piece of the show is where I have used 5 panels of glass. They all carry different shades of blues. Even the color has a perception on its own. So wherever you move around within the gallery space, the color changes. But if you stand from a very specific angle within the gallery, you would see 5 different shades. I picked glass because it's fragility, and I wanted to highlight that fragility within the work, and perception because there's that transparency within the glass. Even the way one would act in front of any reflective surfaces, you would notice that your behavior would start changing. You're aware of yourself, you're aware of your surroundings. So I'm trying to find the meaning within that perception.